are not going to be limited. Right now, who is going to invest in this radical rabbit guy? Let's draw him out. And trust me, Rahul, 2 years heading a very, very important assignment. I have worked strategic wargaming not once. I have done variety of tools. Before that, I have held appointments where lives have been lost on my orders and lives have been saved on my orders. I understand what I'm trying to say. We have got the capacity. I've worked on not on my back of the envelope. I can sit across the table to your team or anybody who wants to argue to tell you, let this draw out. You will see what I'm saying.
Okay.
So and the second part, we should look rational. We should have adequate justice balance for going for a full-fledged war. Everybody is calling a war. I don't call it a war. I have been in the scenario of ceasefire violation, taking shells on my head. I've seen people blown on this side and killing on the other side for not one day. I've seen it for fire packages, what you call fire exchanges, fire duels going for days altogether. I've seen Kargil quite up close front. Please understand, wars don't go in zippy.
Okay.
Right? The people who want to go into zippy will be the losers. You may be a very, very powerful nation.
Okay,
you
so
look at the Americans.
Okay, so
I'll just close on this. Let's look at the Americans, the most powerful country. How do they go into war? They go with preparation, right? When they have to go into attack, they spend time more than 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4 months, 6 months. I'm not saying we have to go for 3 to 4, 6 months. What I'm saying is, let's play it out. Let's control the thing. You jump, you take a decision, you will not be able to come out.
So you're already saying that the pincers that we've applied are beginning to hurt Pakistan. Okay, let's just, 1 second, before I bring in the Air Marshal, I'll quickly go back to the gentleman who was saying, let's get more decisive and let's get decisive quicker. So Tilak Devashir, your first response to what General Pandey is saying, then I'll get in Brahma Chileni, and then of course I'll get in the wing commander. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to just say this, that for the last 3 days, the people in Jammu, in Samba, Kathua, Jaisalmer are being traumatized because of blackouts, because of massive drone attack from Pakistan.
Gee.
Don't we owe them a responsibility? Are we allowing them to suffer the consequences of what Pakistan is doing by your 4 drones or 5 drones or something? Why cannot you be decisive enough to ensure that this kind of trauma that the people in these cities, after all, they're also Indians, are facing? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying go for a full-out war. We have not crossed the LC. They're not boots on the ground. It is just all air assets. And the Air Force hasn't even crossed over. It's just drones crossing over. Surely we can do much more with drone warfare just to put the fear of God into Pakistan.
Well, I'll get the Air Marshal on that in just a few seconds. One second. Let's just first go, because I have to bring the Air Marshal in, and this is an important conversation. Brahma Chileni, your response to General Pandey and to Tilak Devashir's response to him.
India currently is waging low-intensity military campaign. Low-intensity military campaign comes with costs for India. Look at the international media coverage. India is again being paired with Pakistan. This will have an impact on investor confidence. Investors will balk at investing in India. The economic costs that India will have to pay the longer this crisis drags on. Of course, India should take its own time to inflict punitive costs on Pakistan. But India is bearing costs. Even what Pakistan is doing today, as today's briefing pointed out, it admitted that India has suffered losses and damage. So we should not forget that this is some kind of game, which India is not bearing any costs. Second, this obsession that we have in India about taking out terrorist camps, about hitting the terrorist infrastructure. Let's be clear. For the Pak military generals, their terrorist proxies are expendable.
Yeah.
They essentially serve as cannon fodder for the military generals. Pakistan is the world's biggest terrorism factory. You kill 100, you kill 500, they'll turn out more jihadi terrorists. And yet we feel content that we kill about 100 terrorist proxies in the first wave of attacks. The real outcome will be determined by our ability to inflict punitive costs on the puppeteers, not their puppets.
Okay, so that's an important one, viewers, because if you don't go to the source of it, yes, you might impose costs on the puppets, but the puppeteers, their mindset remains. And the whole idea, Wing Commander, is to get the puppeteer to put away his puppets, because he realizes that the game, the entertainment is not good enough anymore. It's going to cost. It's not being watched, and it's going to be earning that person rebuke. I think you're on mute, sir. Yeah, you're on mute. Yes, I can.
Yeah. Rahul, I see this playing out in a very, very different way. In fact, I get goosebumps when I see this. And this is something qualitatively very different. And I would like to state this. This is India's modern day Krishna doctrine. What I call it as strategic clarity with calculated duality. In geopolitics, perception is half the war. In strategy, restraint is not weakness, it is leverage. India's posture post-Operation Sindoor reflects a refined blend of public diplomacy and silent resolve. Reminiscent of the Krishna Sutra from the Mahabharata. It is a two-phase strategy. We are actually showing two-phase, the actual way of handling Pakistanis. If you actually are going to tell and do what you want to do and then warmonger and then lead them, that's not the way that modern warfare is led. That's not how America fights its war. It is a two-phase strategy with a two-layered wisdom. The world may ask, is India wearing two-phase? But yes, one that speaks of peace, responsibility and international norms, another that acts decisively, ruthlessly and silently, and what the national interest demands for the occasion and time. We call it as proportional response. The answer is not deception, but it is, what I call as the diplomatic dharma. Just as Krishna did not wield a weapon, but still led Arjuna to victory, modern India does not boast, but ensures its outcome. That's what I saw yesterday. When, so many drones, 500 of them, 24 cities, not a scratch to boast for the Pakistanis. So where is this Krishna parallel that I'm talking about? Krishna didn't play by the enemy rules. So don't we. He played by the rules of purpose and not posturing. So let's not posture. Let's not allow the enemy to see our designs. Let us confuse him. Let us make him feel we are playing the old game again and again.
Okay, so big divide on this panel, viewers, tonight. Big divide. Some people say invest in strategy. Don't abandon the moral high ground. Others say, well, there is no time to do all of that window dressing. Let's go for it. We have an advantage. We can't live with the cost for too long. Yes, we're the bigger economy, but over a period of time, we will end up paying a price. Okay, now, I want to bring in the Air Marshal. Air Marshal, sir, sorry to have kept you waiting, but you've got a good sense now of this particular debate, and we've got roughly two people on either side, and you're the one who has to break the tie. So I have to ask you, which way are you leaning? Because, look, there are compelling arguments. If India sacrifices the moral high ground by choosing escalation, by being the more, straight-on power that is not reacting, but actually prospectively targeting, being preemptive, etc., people will say that, look, like Israel, you are the ones who are the bloodthirsty ones, you're the ones who want the war, the other ones are trying to find a diplomatic solution, etc. So, where do you come in on this?
The 14 days that went by after Pahalgam to starting of operations, I think so after the 5th or the 6th day, the same rhetoric began. Why are we delaying? Why? What is the hurry? They have killed our people. Why have we not reacted? We are a weak state. We are falling into the eyes of the global people that the fourth largest economy cannot take out a rogue country. All that thing went on. Now that the operations have begun, now we are in a hurry to take out, their sea lanes of communication. We want to take out their establishments and other things. My take on the whole issue is that we have taken certain steps which have never been taken in last 65 to 70 years. First, after the 65 wars, three wars after 1960, never ever the Indus Water Treaty was, held in abeyance. This we did on the first day itself, the first announcement which the Foreign Secretary made. Second observation, I mentioned it earlier. Who is driving the narrative here? I told this after the last Balakot strike. Who did the briefing after the Balakot strike? It was not the army, it was not the Ministry of Defense, it was not the Defense Secretary, it was done by the Foreign Secretary. India's image of this government, I feel, is wanting to turn things through diplomatic channels. Who received PM Modi when he cut short from Saudi Arabian team? Foreign Secretary. Who is briefing him now, or who briefed him that day in Parliament? Foreign Secretary. Who is conducting the briefing every day now is the Foreign Secretary. So India has engaged 180 countries out of 193 to put across our position after each action. So the strategy, in my opinion, and the people seated who are taking decisions are much more wiser than I feel that we are discussing here. So they are aware of the whole things, how it unfolds, how it takes. Now, certain key factors. Striking Punjab in Pakistan has never been done since 1971. Taking out targets right next to GHQ or the Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters with precision has never been done. So slowly, if you see the war waging, it is the new dimension that we have seen. It is closer to Israel-Hamas kind of a conflict.
Okay.
Because the Hamas people did come to POK a few months ago.
Yeah.
And the warfare which we are doing now, the loitering munitions, we are seeing the drone warfare in swarms. We are using the use of satellites. We are using, see, the last attacks.
But aren't they doing more of that, sir? Isn't the Pakistani side doing more of that? We've only sent 4 across.
Yes,
Let's just admit it.
They are picking it up from that side.
Okay.
So the warfare which is being done in West Asia is being replicated by some sort by Pakistan. So you're absolutely correct on that observation.
No, but it's quite clear, sir, that those strikes that you're talking about, and again, let me just bring in Brahma Chileni, those strikes that you're talking about before we go to the reporters, because I want to get quick updates. There's news coming out of the IMF here, they're meeting because the IMF is wanting to, or at least the Pakistanis want the IMF to give it a bailout, and that would be catastrophic at this time because the money won't be used on the public welfare. They'll take it in their public's name, but they'll use it to pump up and buy more weapons and this, that, the other. Plenty of people who want to sell it to them, the Chinese, the Turkish people. So this is an important interdiction by India. And number 2, of course, we just want to get a quick status update. Loud bangs being heard around the LOC. So I just want to go to the reporter for that. But I want to bring you in, Mr. Chileni, before I do that. Look, fundamentally, those strikes that we conducted in the first round, yes, we took out terror camps. It's looking very bad for Pakistan. It's in Punjab, etc. But clearly it's not failed to deter them. They've come after our military installations. It was admitted today.
Yes, but look at this stance of taking the high moral ground. In my career, I've only come across in India this stance of taking the high moral ground. I've never seen it anywhere else in the world. It's not, you never see it in the international relations discourse.
It's an Nehruvian hangover. It's a Nehruvian hangover.
It's a form of escapism from realism. So there's no morality in international relations.
Okay.
Let's be clear.
Okay, so you're saying don't invest in this too much. Let's put our national interest first. Okay, just hold your thoughts because I'm being told that there has been developments there. India has made a strong case to deny Pakistan the funds, and I want to go straight across to Pallavi Ghosh, who's joining me for more on this. Pallavi, what are you hearing? This is a big moment, really, isn't it? It could be a point of inflection. I saw the Pakistani stock exchange rise because they're anticipating some big monies today.
Well, it's a little disappointing, I would say, what happened at the IMF. India, of course, came out with a very strong statement. It gave evidence to show that how there's a lot of diversion of the money which the IMF gives to Pakistan into terror activities and it's not being used for development. It also raised the point that it's been a defaulter and also that there has been the people of Pakistan have not benefited with these kind of bailouts. Yet what we get to hear is that IMF has considered yet another bailout. However,
Oh no.
whenever that voting took place, India has abstained. It has made its point of view very, very clear to IMF and has also made the point to the world that, you cannot hold us responsible. We warned you, we consistently warn you, but you, in a sense, are also funding the terror activities of Pakistan by giving them this kind of a bailout.
So are you saying that it's going Pakistan's way? Is that what you're saying? What is the outcome? Has the statement come out?
Yes, Rahul, in fact, there are many parameters, just to put the picture correctly, there are many parameters on which funds are given to countries who are on that list. So there are 25 countries with executive directors who were a part of that meeting. And that statement, which has now been issued by the finance ministry, also makes it very clear. And the last line, I would say, is very significant, that India put forward its point of view, which IMF understands. However, we decide to abstain, and that makes the picture very clear. It also did say that it's unfortunate in a sense that IMF has considered a further bailout to Pakistan because it's sure that this money is going to be used as far as terror funding is concerned.
And we are sitting on the moral high ground, viewers. The IMF is not sitting on a moral high ground. That's exactly the point that Mr. Chileni was making. And I want to bring in Tilak Devasher and Mr. Chileni. I'll just check back with you, Pallavi, just stay on there because let's read that statement and I want you to read it for me in just about 2 minutes. I just want to get quick reactions. Tilak Devasher, this is not good news. This is not good news. Let's be honest.
Exactly. So, that's what I said, you have to understand that Pakistan does not appreciate restraint and responsibility. I have no problem with what the Air Marshal said, that our strike initially on the first day was decisive, never been done before, took out 9 terror training camps. But the follow-up and the pushback that came from Pakistan, we over the last 2 days seem to have, sort of pulled our punches and adopted the moral high ground. I think we should be far more decisive. I'm not saying cross the border. I'm not saying go and do any action inside Pakistan. But certainly with drones, apart from being defensive and blocking the drones, I think we should be also hitting Lahore and Sialkot and Rawalpindi and Karachi as much as what 300, 400 drones are being are sending on to India. We should be far more decisive in that.
Well, maybe this will now shake us up. Maybe this will shake us up. I don't know if Pallavi is still there. If Pallavi is still there, I just want her back. We're going to try and get her to read that statement. That's not great news. Brahma Chileni, not great news. I also feel very disappointed that the Americans haven't stood in our corner. They have a lot of influence on the IMF.
Well, today, what the IMF has done, or is about to do, is to put its stamp of approval on a staff agreement with Pakistan. We should have begun exerting pressure on the IMF much earlier with the help of a friendly administration in Washington. We didn't do that. When the Biden administration, it was the Biden administration that first provided the big bailout.
Yeah.
So now this is the second bailout. The second bailout of which today the IMF is going to release immediately a $1 billion payment to Pakistan and trigger a new $1.3 billion loan to Pakistan. But when Joe Biden initiated this bailout business for Pakistan, we didn't protest. We didn't say it should be contingent on Pakistan taking concrete counterterrorism action. Look what Biden did. He helped Pakistan gain that big bailout. Then immediately thereafter, Biden unveiled a $450 million deal to modernize and upgrade Pakistan's F-16 fleet against India.
Yeah.
He also helped Pakistan to escape from the FATF grey list.
Well, viewers, look, this is not going down too well. You can keep doing all your diplomacy and all that, but when it comes to putting deterrence back, you have to take immediate kinetic steps, and they have to happen in a reasonable period. I'm not saying let's rush in today, let's rush in tomorrow. Take your time for all you want, but make sure that when you hit, you're going to hit hard this time. None of this namby-pamby sending 4 drones this way, that way, sniffing around and coming back. That won't work now, viewers. That won't work. We need to act immediately before Pakistan uses all this money to bolster itself up. 1 second, I just want to bring in Pallavi here, and after also that, I want to go across to Akash for the latest. We are hearing that the front is opening again. It's going all the way down to Rajasthan. That's what I'm hearing. But Pallavi, just read out that statement if you already have that with you. If you could, that would be great, because get a sense really of the factors at play there in that IMF decision.
Yeah, it's a very brief statement, and I'm just going to read out the very relevant portions, Rahul, considering that, we have other news to go to.
Yeah.
It talks about that the IMF has today reviewed the extended fund facility lending program, which is $1 billion, and also considered a fresh resilience and sustainability facility. It's called the RSF, which is a lending program of 1.3 billion for Pakistan, which means Pakistan has got that bailout. As an active and responsible member country, India has raised concerns over the efficacy of IMF programs in case of Pakistan giving its poor track record. It also ends it by saying that India flagged the Pakistan chapter of the IMF report. The IMF took note of India's self-statements and its abstention from the vote. So it went to vote, and India has abstained from that voting. Not very great news, but it also, I think, also exposes the double standards of organizations which talk about curbing terror, but they also, in a way, end up funding that kind of a terror. We all know very quickly, Rahul, where this extra bailout package will be used for.
Absolutely. Look, viewers, count on yourselves. You have to be Atmanirbhar. You have to fight your own battles. Can't be looking for others to bail you out. And diplomacy has its limitations. For 70 years, we tried that. We tried diplomacy. I just want to go straight across to Akash to get a few updates now. Akash, on the situation that we are seeing around the LOC. Where is most of this concentrated? We're being told, and I don't know if we have that update, Rajasthan, 4 Pakistani drones sighted in Jaisalmer. This time, the intensity is not that great, but they are certainly still harrying our forces, isn't it?
It seems like, it is getting repeated, like what we saw yesterday. I won't comment on the intensity because, in fact, in Jammu, I'm in Jammu right now, Rahul, and, I have heard at least, 15 to 16 explosion sounds, in fact, in the last few minutes. As far as Jammu is concerned, so we have been told that air defense system thwarted the attempt. Once again, it was tried on, the FO station and also the airport. Both of these properties are close, in fact, very close. And other than Jammu, we have been, in fact, told that Nagrota is affected. Samba is affected, Rajouri is affected in sense that they have been targeted. But yes, air defense system is very much active. And then, yes, you rightly pointed out in Rajasthan and in Punjab as well. We are seeing multiple places, on target. But then we have our agencies with the air defense system. And in fact, these attempts are thwarted. Now, we cannot see it on a daily basis, Rahul. This is one point that I wanted to make. We have seen the press conference today where, it was categorically mentioned that how several sites were targeted, in fact, yesterday. But as far as our operation or our reply is concerned, our retaliation is concerned, so nothing much was said in the press conference. And this is the reason why now, in fact, I was listening to you, in fact, and you have been saying that there should be a strong retaliation. It cannot be go like, daily, on a daily basis, drones are coming, we have got air sirens and, our AD system working, and then, we are destroying their radars and systems.
Yeah,
definitely
because there's a toll, there's a price being paid. As Tilak Deveshwar said, that there's a price being paid, and you're there, you're in Jammu, and you know where the citizens are. They're sort of, some of them have moved out of their homes to safer areas. Along the LOC, a large number of people are in their bunkers. Some of them have been pulled back from the villages in the forward areas. So clearly, there is dislocation. Some have died, some have been killed. So this can't go on. Frankly, this can't go on. But viewers, Akash, isn't that really what's also happening? The public there is also paying a bit of a price. Before I move on to the next segment of this show, which is a very important one, viewers, because we have another 5th column in this country that wants dialogue, if you please, in the middle of all this. So I'll come to that. But Akash, yes.
Yes, of course. Citizens are impacted even when they are not getting hit, or civilian properties are not getting hit because of the air defense. You have after 8 p.m. you have the blackout. People cannot go to the place where they want to go. They have been asked to in fact complete their work before 6 p.m. before 5 p.m. In fact, I was talking to shopkeepers nearby airport, and they were saying that they have been asked to close their shops, shut their shops by 5 p.m. So of course, civilians and in fact citizens citizens are paying the price.
And the airspace is
in
shut.
fact, I want to highlight it.
Jammu airport, Srinagar airport, several airports, airspace is shut. So there's also that cost being added, viewers. This is a time for decisive action now, I feel at least. And that's what we were saying and that's what we were discussing. But Akash, just stay on. I'll come back to you in just about a few minutes. But I just want to, viewers, focus on another aspect of this story. We have our panel with us. We also have General Iyer with us. And I'm going to bring him into this conversation. But India has begun to suffocate, at least that much we can see. Pakistan, it's feeling the heat militarily, diplomatically, and most importantly, economically. The sustained pressure applied by Prime Minister Modi has steadily given India the upper hand. There's no doubt about that. But just when India has got itself now in a position to inflict sustained punishment on Pakistan, provided, of course, we go forward with that intent. Just when we are coming to that point, there is a clamor here on our soil for de-escalation and dialogue. Yes, Mehbooba Mufti, the PDP chief, held a press conference today saying people are dying and getting displaced on both sides of the border. There's an argument, need for restraint. Heads of both nations should aim for de-escalation. Then there's the All India Muslim Personal Law Board that's come out and said both nations should resolve matters via dialogue. War is not a solution, especially with nuclear weapons. India and Pakistan cannot afford a war. Now, it all sounds very rational. No one wants a war. But we certainly want some cost to be inflicted upon Pakistan so it doesn't constantly harry us. And the AMPLB goes on to say that conflict could plunge millions into suffering. Then there's John Brittus, the CPIM MP, who says as a mature democracy, we should try to de-escalate the situation. Hapless civilians in Jammu and Kashmir should be protected. Biman Bose of the CPM says, instead of escalating to war, it is now time for negotiation and diplomacy. Even Tagore was against war. He saw it as a symbol of destruction. He always advocated for peace over conflict. Now, the question is, would going in for de-escalation be considered by Pakistan as a sign of weakness? Remember, we want to tell them, don't mess with us again. Don't try this again. Now, if you go and suddenly say, no, let's have talks, let's open the back channel, let's sit across from each other, book a conference room, let's do a, bilateralism as it's called, let's bury the hatchet, and let's work to a solution where both of us decide that we can be better neighbors, etc., etc. Pakistan will say, well, we tested them. They did a little bit. After that, they didn't have the appetite. Am I right, General Iyer, or am I wrong to presume this?
Rahul, firstly, thank you for having me on your show, and good evening to my fellow panelists.
Yeah.
Firstly, Rahul, let's look at what happened on the 7th.
Yeah.
Right. The first statement which we put out, there is a line which you also have been using for the last 2 days, that we have achieved our aim and we don't want to escalate it any further. Right. Till yesterday, we were looking at a time when Pakistan is going to get itself off-ramp from the system, from this current status. Right. What has he done to us? He sent a set of drones, possibly launched some missiles into our area, which is possibly, he was trying to create a kind of a scenario where he can possibly exit at a higher note. We have not allowed him to do so. Secondly, the people you have mentioned who want dialogue, they don't even represent a percentage, even percentage is too high in terms of support in this country. They are irrelevant people. It is not something that we should be looking at. I am sure they were not even part of the all-party meet, which was called by the Prime Minister, and to discuss what India's action should be. Now for us to, and I totally support General Pandey's viewpoint when he was trying to put across a point, when you have put out a statement that we have done what we had to do, now we want to de-escalate, that was our first line. To escalate it further, there has to be a very, very substantial case. Unfortunately, I don't see it happening by a set of few drones coming into Jammu, or like I said in the beginning, in the morning also.
I think we've lost that.
Line of control cannot be, equated.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
me?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Yes.
So I said line of control cannot be equated to what is happening on the mainland. Line of control, the day he stepped out of the Simla agreement, it went hot. And it has just escalated one level when he started opening heavy equipment. We are responding in the same lines. So please keep that aside. And there is multiple amount of things you can do on the line of control to give him a bloody nose. So that I'm sure our army and our armed forces are doing in due course of time in that area. And General Pandey has been the corps commander, and he knows how things are to be, escalated.
No, but this whole business of coming and saying that let's now call it off, let's have a conversation, let's have dialogue. Are you in favor of that?
No, I'm not.
No,
But
you're not.
who are these people?
Who are these people?
Who are these people?
They're a political.
Who are these people?
Well,
no,
you know-
these people don't represent. Sorry, Rahul.
Yeah.
These people don't represent even 1% of India.
No,
They don't
actually,
have support
I'll tell you,
in
this
India.
is just the political face of a large number of others in civil society who in very powerful places. I haven't even listed the civilians who've been asking for
I
this.
look at the political face of
Yeah.
what represents the all-party meeting.
Okay.
Where, United
Okay, let me get in General Pandey and Air Marshal also. General Pandey, very quickly on this demand. Go for dialogue.
Yeah,
De-escalate.
Rahul,
Yeah.
Rahul, I'll just want to say that I've been in Kashmir enough to tell you one thing.
Yeah.
That even at this stage, Mehbooba Mufti doesn't even command respect from even the crevices of Kashmir, where she had some sort of a say.
Actually, General
right?
Pandey, I've
And
been politically correct
frankly-
here. There are several academics. There are, it's the ecosystem.
No.
Several academics. There are several journalists today. There are several influential thinkers. There are intellectuals. There's a whole, a whole ecosystem behind this. I've only taken the political faces because they are public figures
Rahul,
in that sense. Yes.
if you're talking of the numbers, there are huge numbers who want, including Brahmachalani ji, who's sitting across,
Yeah.
Tilak Deveshar Saab, who's sitting across, very, very respectable people, thinkers, strategic thinkers, who are wanting to go ahead.
Yeah.
Right? These are the voices, and I am listening to those voices. My timelines are being pushed across with these approaches also. So, by no means, when you take the spectrum of population of 1.4 billion,
Okay.
there will be not even a fraction to fraction of people who will be thinking on the lines. Even those people who are in Jammu taking the hits, right? They will be thinking that please stop this.
Okay.
I can assure you that they are the ones who will be coming up and say, please let's go and finish this thing once for all. I just want to diverse a little bit. Please don't understand that I'm saying that there should be no war or such like things. I have been very consistent in all formats, starting from last 1 year when I've been allowed to come onto the television, that we should not talk to these idiots. Second is, we need to decide that what will change the strategic orientation.
That's right.
Is it going to just go for a full-fledged war immediately? We'll
No.
do it.
No.
They have handed over a stick to us.
Yeah.
Let's take our time to go
Sure.
for this war.
I buy
in
that
the
point.
entire time, right?
Yes.
And we will get it.
Prepare well, and once you get your strategy together, Air Marshal, then go for the kill. That's what you're saying basically, isn't it? You're also on that same page. Air Marshal. Yeah. Air Marshal. Yeah.
When the white people left the subcontinent, the 1948 war is an example which I'll just narrate. India and Pakistan fought, but the generals from the both sides are Britishers. It's the only war in the mankind when the two opposing armies had the generals from the same country.
Okay.
Now, what we have inherited is left by that. Ever since, the Americans have had a soft corner for the Pakistanis. Whatsoever you may say, after the last attack at Balakot, we gave example of AMRAAM, F-16, everything. Nothing happened. The Americans didn't blink an eyelid. So, this may be a trap in which India must be, taken to now. Why is this conflict started when the trade war has begun? Why did on 16th April Asim Munir made that statement of Hindu and true ideology? Why did 6 days after that we kill Hindus by
Sure.
this thing? So he wants to divide the community. Why did he allow only the Sikhs to go to Gurudwara
True.
when they closed
I
the border?
understand all of that. But
So
I'm
it
therefore,
may be a larger plot,
Okay.
which our leadership must be reading well,
Okay.
and we are avoiding to walk into that trap.
well, Brahmachalani, quick wrap out from you, 34, 35, maybe 1 minute at the maximum. Yes, please.
Unfortunately, there are some Indians who see options only at extreme ends. Continue a weak-kneed approach or face an all-out war. Between these two positions is plenty of other ground.
Yes.
There are more than 100 different options today between low intensity military campaign of the type that we are seeing and a full-fledged war. 100 different options lie between these two extremes.
Okay.
Yet there are some people in India who say that the only other option to turning the other cheek is war.
Okay, well, viewers, I'm going to end this show by putting out those pictures of the Prime Minister meeting with the 3 defense chiefs, with the RM, with the NSA. Those are the pictures, viewers. This is one of those moments in this campaign for justice, viewers, that could prove decisive. There is clearly a lot of thinking going on in the Union capital. The outcome of that will reflect, I don't know, tomorrow, tonight, maybe. Who knows? We don't know. But I just hope it does in a decisive way. That's all I'm saying, a decisive way. I'm not baying for blood, I'm not wanting war. I'm just saying there should be a decisive outcome. We should make our impression that will lead to a change of mindsets in those that run Pakistan, so that they don't continue to, at any level or the other, gestate these notions that they can continuously cut us with this subcritical warfare that they have designed. I leave it at this, viewers. Lots more coming up. Don't go away.
Presented by
All right. I want to move on to another piece of breaking news that's just coming through. We're given to understand that a former Lashkar-e-Taiba operative and in aid of the Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Saeed has exposed the outfit. He says that many youths motivated by Hafiz Saeed's speeches and then joined the Lashkar-e-Taiba subsequently traveled to Afghanistan as well as to Kashmir in India. Approximately 500 individuals from across the country traveled to Afghanistan to undergo training at a camp named Maskar Taiba that's located in Kunar province. He says Hafiz Saeed is also responsible for the deaths of thousands of Pakistanis by sending them in a war of ashes to achieve the state's political goals. This is something that Noor Dari, that's the name of the individual. He's a former Lashkar operative. Tejinder has more details on this. Tejinder, read the tea leaves for us. What does this necessarily mean?
See, Zaka, this Noor Dari right now is the executive director for ITCT, which is an international think tank that exposes Islamist terrorists. He says that his mother wanted him to become a doctor, but he like thousands of Pakistanis were motivated by the speeches given by the LET founder Hafiz Saeed. He says that he was appointed as the aide of Hafiz Saeed. He used to guard him in the Murtaqi camp where he was deputed, and he says that Hafiz Saeed was traveling in a blue Toyota Wigo pickup Datsun. So Hafiz Saeed is responsible, as per Hafiz Saeed is responsible for the death of thousands of Pakistani youth whom they motivate through his lectures. They join his terror outfit. They are sent to Afghanistan. They are sent to Kashmir, and they become a cannon fodder for the so-called war which Hafiz Saeed and other terrorists are fighting. He says that there are millions of Pakistanis and who have been motivated by the speech of Hafiz Saeed, and they have joined the terror cult of LET. He says that he took a decision finally because he saw that this will get him nothing, so he left LET, and he was made fun by the other LET members, saying that he was coward, that is why he was leaving it, but he realized that Hafiz Saeed would lead them to nowhere. So finally he right now in UK, settled there, and is working with one of the international think tanks as an executive director. So this person has exposed Hafiz Saeed and how this terror factory is radicalizing the youth of Pakistan, the youth who could have taken a pen, who could have taken a stethoscope to become a doctor or an engineer, but Hafiz Saeed and his ilk is making these people the cannon fodder for their so-called jihad, training them in several terror training camps across Pakistan, in borders with Afghanistan, and then sending them to fight and get killed in Kashmir. He says that thousands of Pakistani youth who are trained by Hafiz Saeed are sent across into Jammu and Kashmir to fight this so-called war, and 90% of them never return. They get killed by the Indian armed forces. So clearly exposing Hafiz Saeed and his terror factory. Yes, Zaka.
Jinder, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. So that's a former operative of the Lashkar-e-Taiba exposing the founder and the chief architect of one of the most dreaded terror organizations, an organization that's wanted for numerous terror attacks here in India. His headquarters, of course, was bombed in Operation Sindoor a couple of days ago. Meanwhile, let's bring you up to speed with where things are as of right now. In the last 24 hours, Pakistan has made multiple attempts to breach India's air defense systems, but the good news is India's air defense has prevailed against Pakistani missiles and drones. The army has managed to neutralize the air defense system in Lahore after Pakistan attempted to engage a number of military targets in northern as well as western India. When Pakistan made failed attempts to send a swarm of drones across at least half a dozen, if not a dozen places along the line of control and the international border, over 40 to 50 drones, and this is what the Indian Army statement said earlier today, over 40 to 50 drones were successfully neutralized in a 3-4 hour period from about 8:30 in the evening yesterday all the way up to about midnight. The engagement involved extensive use of the L-70 guns, the Zu-23 Shilkas, and of course other advanced counter-UAS equipment, including of course the S-400s and the indigenously built Akash surface-to-air missiles. It also showed the Army's capability to counter these aerial threats. So what are these weapon systems, these air defense systems which were activated yesterday and managed to avert what could have been a big sort of barrage of attacks by the enemy on Indian soil? The L-70, it's developed by Bofors, it's produced under the license here in India. It's a 40mm gun, modernized with radars, electro-optical sensors, and also auto-tracking systems. It can fire anywhere between 250 to 300 rounds per minute.
Hello, Namaskar. This is Firstpost and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Day 3 of Operation Sindoor, the fighting is intensifying. Pakistan has fired 300 to 400 drones into India. Most of them have been neutralized, no damage reported. India fired back and has stepped up its war preparedness. But here's the million-dollar question. Are we at war with Pakistan? The answer officially is no, and we'll tell you why. Meanwhile, there's a third party in this conflict. Pakistan is using Chinese weapons to strike at India. A special report on India's stellar air defense. We tell you how the Indian forces blocked drones and downed missiles from Pakistan. On international airwaves, India is winning the narrative war. We'll tell you how. Also debunking fake news and Pakistani propaganda designed to create panic. Tracking the IMF meeting. Will they bail out Pakistan again? From 26/11 to Pahalgam, how Prime Minister Modi has set a new precedent to secure India. What this escalation means for you, we'll tell you 5 things that you must know. Also a report on how civilians are coming under Pakistani fire. All this and more coming up. The headlines first. The Board of Control for Cricket in India suspends the Indian Premier League or IPL for a week. The decision comes amid escalating tensions between India and Pakistan. On Thursday, the match in Dharamsala was called off over security concerns. The IPL was to wind up on the 25th of May in Kolkata. Russian President Vladimir Putin vows Moscow will be victorious in Ukraine, just as the Soviet Union was in World War II. He made the remark during Moscow's Victory Day parade, where Russia showcased attack drones for the first time. At the parade, Putin sat with China's Xi Jinping and greeted North Korean military officers. Iranian foreign minister will visit Saudi Arabia and Qatar tomorrow, just days before Donald Trump begins a regional tour. Trump is scheduled to visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the UAE from the 13th to the 16th of May. This will be his first major foreign trip since he returned to the White House in January. It comes amid US-Iran negotiations over Tehran's nuclear program. A Sri Lankan Air Force helicopter crashes during a graduation ceremony, killing 6 of the 12 military personnel on board. The helicopter plunged into a reservoir during a demonstration. The tragedy is the Sri Lankan Air Force's worst one since a Chinese-built aircraft crashed in 2020. Drone strikes hit the Sudanese city of Port Sudan for the 6th straight day. The army has once again blamed the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces or RSF for this attack. Since last Sunday, the port city has been hit by daily drone strikes. Port Sudan is the main entry point for humanitarian aid into the Sudan. And the new Pope says, don't reduce Jesus to a superman. Pope Leo's address to cardinals came less than 24 hours after his election. His inauguration mass will take place on Sunday in St. Peter's Square. The 69-year-old is the first American Pope. Different night, same story. Jammu has once again plunged into darkness. We are getting videos from different parts of the region. They show complete blackout in parts of Jammu. In the background, you can hear air raid sirens and explosions. And this is exactly what happened last night as well. This is exactly how it played out. Close to 9 p.m., reports came in about Pakistani drones over Jammu. This time, sirens are ringing in Punjab's Firozpur as well. Take a look at these pictures. The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister is himself posting updates. He has confirmed sounds of explosions in Jammu, most likely from heavy artillery. That's what he said. He's also issued an appeal to the people living in this area. Stay off the streets and stay at home. That's what the Chief Minister is asking people to do. Beyond Jammu, drones have reportedly been spotted over Pathankot as well. We're hearing that Indian air defenses have been activated again. I would like to repeat that this is exactly how it played out yesterday. The first reports came from Jammu of projectiles from across the border being fired at Jammu, followed by a blackout and a response from India's air defense system. Subsequently, multiple sites in India were targeted. We'll tell you about that shortly. But this is playing out yet again for the second time in 2 days. The first reports again coming from Jammu. These are pictures from Firozpur, as you can see, and similar reports coming from Pathankot as well. The Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir making an appeal, asking people to stay indoors. And a blackout, as you can see, is very much in place. Sirens ringing loud across these cities. There's one question everyone is asking. Are we at war? Well, some journalists have declared it already. Some social media users are asking for it. But are we truly in a state of war with Pakistan? As of now, the answer is no. And we'll explain why tonight. We'll also tell you how India usually declares a war. But first, let's get you the battlefield updates. Yesterday night was tense and chaotic Between 8 and 9 p.m. IST, Pakistan started firing projectiles at India. We brought you these pictures yesterday. Bright dots could be seen over the skies in northern and western India. The first reports came in from Jammu. But similar scenes were seen in Punjab and Rajasthan as well. Information was hard to come by last night, but now the fog of war has lifted. And here's what we can tell you about what happened there. Pakistan targeted sites across the western frontier, all the way from Leh to Gujarat. At least 36 Indian locations were targeted. This includes Pathankot, Udhampur, Jammu and Jaisalmer. Pakistan fired some 300 to 400 drones. Apparently, the idea was to test the Indian air defenses, perhaps even to gather intelligence. But the Indian military was ready for it. They neutralized most of these Pakistani drones. Later on, another armed drone targeted the air base in Bathinda. That too was neutralized by India. But the army admitted some losses and injuries, though the extent is not clear. I'm sure you've all seen pictures of these Pakistani attacks. Despite that, despite all of these videos circulating, Islamabad has denied responsibility. They claim that no attack was launched on India by them. Today, New Delhi slammed that narrative. The Foreign Secretary of India called it another example of Pakistani duplicity.
The official and blatantly farcical denial of these attacks that Pakistan carried out by the Pakistani state machinery is yet another example of their duplicity and the new depths that they are plumbing in their quest for disinformation. This is nothing but a desperate attempt by Pakistan to disown its acts of aggression, but it is also true to type in its effort to deceive and mislead the world. It will not succeed.
Pakistan can deny all they want, but there is proof of their attack from last night. Projectiles have been discovered from at least 4 sites, from Jaisalmer, from Hoshiarpur, from Bathinda and from Rajouri. Take a look at this.
Hello.
As expected, India hit back after this Pakistani escalation. We fired drones at 4 Pakistani sites and we took out 1 air defense radar. Now remember, 1 air defense system in Lahore was destroyed on Thursday morning, so this would mark the 2nd successful hit. In other words, India has destroyed 2 air defense systems of Pakistan in 1 day. In addition, India has confirmed major losses to Pakistani forces, though once again the specifics are missing. Now, all of this was happening over Indian and Pakistani airspaces, a very dangerous exchange of fire, yet Pakistan did not close their airspace. Let me simplify that for you. Pakistan allowed civilian planes to fly over the region while launching drones at India. Basically, they use civilian planes as shields. It is the definition of a rogue terrorist state. Indian officials pointed that out today. They highlighted that 1 civilian passenger plane was flying overhead during the attack. Take a look at this.
The screenshot we just showed and we shall share with you. It shows the data of the application Flight Radar 24 during a high air defense alert situation in the Punjab sector. As you have seen, the airspace on the Indian side is absolutely devoid of civil air traffic due to our declared closure. However, there are civil airlines flying the air route between Karachi and Lahore. Amongst the other civil aircraft that you can see, we have highlighted an aircraft which is Airbus 320 of FlyNAS Aviation, which was originated from Dammam at 1750 hours and landed later at Lahore at 2110 hours in the night.
That sums up the updates from the skies. On the ground too, Pakistan was escalating. Around 11 p.m. last night, there was an infiltration attempt. It happened in the Samba sector of Jammu. A group of terrorists tried to enter Indian territory and Pakistani rangers were giving them cover fire. But India's border security force of BSF was quick to respond. They killed at least 7 of these terrorists. They also inflicted damage on the Pakistani post on the other side. Have a look. These are worrying signs for the region. A, Pakistan is escalating despite warnings from India. B, they are refusing to take responsibility for their attacks. And C, they are putting civilians at risk, both on land and in the skies. Look at what they're doing near the line of control. This is the de facto border between India and Pakistan, the LOC, line of control. And here Pakistan is openly firing at civilians. In the skies, they're putting airliners at risk. So India must be mindful of what we're dealing with. This is not a country that plays by the rules. This is a rogue, duplicitous country, which is why New Delhi is covering all bases. Today, Prime Minister Modi convened a meeting of the service chiefs. He took stock of the situation and the readiness. The Home Minister of India convened a meeting of the border security agencies. He spoke to the chiefs of the BSF, the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, and the CISF, the Central Industrial Security Force. So clearly India is ready for everything, which brings me back to the original question. Are we at war with Pakistan? The answer is no, and I'll tell you why. War refers to a sustained state of conflict. Both sides will look to keep escalating. They may also have clearly defined political or tactical goals. That is what a war technically is. We are not at that stage here. India certainly is not looking to escalate. New Delhi has called its actions measured and focused. And Pakistan, they have promised to attack India again, but it's not clear if they want to go beyond that. So as things stand, this is a tit-for-tat situation. This is a low-intensity conflict, but yes, it can explode into a full-fledged war at any point in time. Pakistan seems keen on it. Their defense minister says there is no option but war. Of course, this is the legendary Khwaja Asif. So let's wait for 24 hours to see if he makes another U-turn. Nonetheless, if war does break out, who declares it? How does it happen? In many countries, there are rules about declaring war. For example, we have the United States. Their law says only the Congress can declare war. In Indian law, there is no equivalent. What comes close is the declaration of emergency. You can declare a state of emergency if a war breaks out. That decision is taken by the Union Cabinet. It is then approved by the Indian President and finally passed by both houses of Parliament. Of course, we are very far away from all of that. This conflict could end right now if Pakistan de-escalates, if they abandon their ego and follow common sense. Pakistan strikes have exposed one more country, and that is China, their iron brother, ATM, an arms supplier. Pakistan is getting all the help from China. Beijing, which offered to mediate 2 days back, is not a spectator on the sidelines. It is an active player in this conflict. And I'll show you how with a video. This is a field in India's northern state of Punjab. This morning, some missile debris was recovered from here. No crater, no blast, just a wreck. It shouldn't have been there. And it shouldn't have fallen this way. Security teams have cordoned off the site, and some early but unconfirmed assessments are in. They say that this could be a Chinese PL-15 missile. China's so-called next-generation air-to-air missile. It is meant to be precise, fast and lethal. But from these pictures, it appears that the missile did not even detonate. It fell to the ground like a heap of metal. Was this an operation failure? Or was it just another Chinese product that did not work? Either way, India should take this discovery seriously because clearly Chinese hardware has been deployed against India. The PL-15 is one of China's most advanced munitions. It is designed by the Air Force of the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. This is the Chinese Air Force basically. The missile boasts a range of up to 300 kilometers. In theory, it can change course after it is fired. In theory, it can also outsmart jamming systems. But in practice, it just landed in a field in India. It is possible that the missile was fired during Pakistan's barrage last night. Remember, Indian air defenses have intercepted almost all incoming threats, missiles, drones, everything was shot down. A lot of debris has been found, and it offers more clues of Chinese involvement. More photographs have surfaced online. One of them shows a part of a missile You can see a serial number printed on it. There's also a small panel. Apparently, this is used to test the missile's tracking system. Another picture shows the tracking device itself. That's part of the missile which helps find its targets. If these claims are officially verified, this would be the first time a Chinese PL-15 was used in combat. It seems Pakistan just got these missiles. China is said to have delivered them right after the Pahalgam terror attack. So when India retaliated with Operation Sindoor, Pakistan may have decided to use these to fire back their fresh supply of Chinese weapons. Chinese jets too have seen some action. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar has confirmed that. He said the J-10C fighters were used during combat and that China was kept fully informed about this, which basically means that China and Pakistan are working together. There is real-time coordination and planning, and that should not come as a surprise. China is Pakistan's largest weapon supplier. We have data from 2019 to 2023. In these 4 years, 82% of Pakistan's arms imports came from China. But the alliance goes beyond weapons. It is strategic and political. After the Pahalgam attack, China has defended Pakistan. On the 27th of April, that's 5 days after the attack, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi spoke to Ishaq Dar, the Pakistani Foreign Minister, and Wang Yi echoed Islamabad's talking points. He called for an impartial investigation. He called Pakistan an ironclad friend. He backed what he called Pakistan's legitimate security concerns. And after Operation Sindoor, Beijing issued similar statements.
China finds India's military operation early this morning regrettable. We are concerned about the ongoing situation. India and Pakistan will always be each other's neighbors that cannot move away.
Clearly, China has picked a side. It may claim neutrality, but its actions say otherwise. It is arming Pakistan, it is advising Pakistan, it is defending Pakistan. China is a third party in this conflict. And it presents a broader threat to India, a threat that we cannot afford to ignore. Vantage continues after a short break.
We're just getting some breaking news before we close out the show. There's been a massive blackout followed with siren sounds that have been activated in Udhampur, a complete blackout in Udhampur. Also, multiple ceasefire violations happening across different sectors on either side of the line of control. So not yet quite the repeat of what we saw yesterday, but still heavy artillery firing happening on across the LOC. Akash has more details on this. Akash, so is it restricted to CFV violations and artillery shells right now? Are we seeing any kind of drone activity yet? Is there any possibility of a repeat of what happened yesterday, or it's following a familiar pattern?
I'm hearing the sirens. In fact, here in Jammu, I'm not allowed to go outside because of the light and some sort of restrictions that are in place. Zaka, yes, we are learning about one drone attack here in Jammu. In fact, defense sources are telling us, and we have heard multiple firing sounds as well. You rightly pointed out on line of control, we are having ceasefire violations in different sectors, not only in Jammu but in Kashmir as well. In Uri and Kupwara, we have been reporting since evening. And at this point in time, in Poonch and in Samba, we are learning about this ceasefire violation from Pakistan, where they are in fact firing the artillery. Here in Jammu, I have heard multiple sounds. I was trying to count 11 at least. I have heard, and I am learning. In fact, defense sources are telling me that it was drone once again, for a drone attack once again. We'll wait for the police to confirm it as well. But I am learning that yesterday it was the airport, and once again it is in the close vicinity, possibly the airport only. And agencies are in fact using the AD systems and AD guns to thwart these attempts. Once again, it is Pakistan trying to attack the infrastructure, and not only in Jammu. We have been learning about these sort of activities in different areas. Tejinder is reporting in fact about Pathankot and Samba as well. We have a colleague Anshul and Anvit in different areas as well. They have been reporting about blackout and sirens. But as far as Jammu is concerned, Zaka, so it is very important. It is the international border though, but it's a very part of the sort of attack that was carried out. In fact, yesterday it got started with Jammu only, and at around 8 p.m. This evening also we heard sirens, and soon after that a blackout was there. Yes, it's a precautionary measure, Zaka, but it has been categorically mentioned by the police and the civil authorities that people cannot stay, outdoor, and in fact that they need to go inside whenever they are hearing these sort of sounds, and in fact whenever there is blackout, they need to go indoors.
Okay, Akash, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. So yes, ceasefire violations are happening in Samba, in Uri, in Tangdar, all across the line of control. We're just getting some breaking news before we close out the show. There's been a massive blackout followed with siren sounds that have been activated in Udhampur, a complete blackout in Udhampur. Also, multiple ceasefire violations happening across different sectors on either side of the line of control. So not yet quite the repeat of what we saw yesterday, but still heavy artillery firing happening on across the LOC. Akash has more details on this. Akash, so is it restricted to CFV violations and artillery shells right now? Are we seeing any kind of drone activity yet? Is there any possibility of a repeat of what happened yesterday, or it's following a familiar pattern?
Let me tell you about last night. India's skies turned into a battlefield. Pakistan launched a brazen aerial assault. They fired 300 to 400 drones and some missiles. 36 locations were targeted. Military sites and civilian areas came under attack. This was across northern and western India. Pakistan's intentions were pretty clear. They wanted to escalate tensions, but the Indian armed forces stood tall. They shot down all incoming projectiles. No casualties, no damage, just debris of the projectiles scattered everywhere. Pakistan's aggression became an embarrassment. Let me tell you how last night unfolded. Visuals of the Pakistani attack came in after 8 in the night, post 8 p.m. The first city to report the aerial intrusion was Jammu. It is 60 kilometers away from Pakistan. Air raid sirens went off in Jammu. Then there was a blackout. Within minutes, Pakistani drones and missiles were seen over the city. Indian armed forces countered the attack. The incoming threats were taken out in less than an hour. At least 8 missiles were shot down over Jammu. A few drones were taken out over Udhampur and Srinagar. 2 Pakistani armed drones were destroyed in Naushera. These are all places in Jammu and Kashmir. Turkish armed drones were used by Pakistan, and they were the ones neutralized here. Turkish armed drones. Pakistan attempted to target military stations in Punjab. Their drones over Pathankot and Batinda were also shot down. Listen to this.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा और नियंत्रण रेखा पर लेह से लेकर सरक्रीक तक 36 स्थानों पर 300 से 400 लगभग ड्रोनों का इस्तेमाल घुसपैठ का प्रयास करने के लिए किया गया। भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने काइनेटिक व नॉन काइनेटिक साधनों का उपयोग करके इनमें से कई ड्रोन्स को मार गिराया। इतने बड़े पैमाने पर हवाई घुसपैठों का संभावित उद्देश्य वायु रक्षा प्रणालियों का परीक्षण करना और खुफिया जानकारी इकट्ठा करना था। ड्रोन के मलबे की फोरेंसिक जांच की जा रही है। प्रारंभिक रिपोर्ट्स से पता चलता है कि वे तुर्की के असीस गार्ड सोंगर ड्रोन्स हैं।
The Indian Army and Air Force worked together. A range of weapons were used for the defense, both kinetic and non-kinetic. What does that mean? Let me start with the kinetic. Weapons that explode on impact. For example, missiles. The Akash missile system saw action last night. They are operated by the Air Force and the Army. This weapon is completely made in India. It can take out multiple aerial targets at the same time. Last night, it proved its mettle. Let me tell you about some of the other weapons that were used. Like the L-70 anti-aircraft gun. It played a major role in defending Jammu last night. It is operated by the Indian Army. This gun is equipped with an auto-tracking radar. Basically, it automatically fires any aerial threat it detects. And it has an impressive rate of fire. This gun churns out almost 300 rounds per minute. So we've told you about the Akash system and the L-70 guns. But other air defenses were also used. Reports say the S-400 air defense systems were activated. It is India's most advanced air defense system, the S-400. The Modi government bought them from Russia. The deal was signed in 2018. The US threatened India with sanctions over this deal. Despite the pressure, India went ahead with the purchase. And this weapon system has proved to be a game changer. The S-400 can track targets up to 600 kilometers away. Basically, it can see all air activity deep inside Pakistan. Last night, the S-400 may have been activated. As of now, there is no official confirmation on its use. Now let's look at the non-kinetic weapons, weapons that do not rely on impact or force. Weapons like lasers or electronic jammers. So non-kinetic weapons also defended India's skies. This was done using drone jamming systems around the air bases in Jammu and Pathankot. Also projectile locating radars. These were crucial in tracking all the incoming projectiles. They provided real-time information to the air defense units. And this made the interceptions successful. You can see how robust India's air defenses are. There are multiple layers to the shield. But what did Pakistan achieve in these strikes? Well, they tried to test India's readiness. Their intention was to create panic. What they got in return was silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of interceptions. India's response to Pakistan was clear. You send drones and missiles to attack our cities, we take them out within a few minutes. The successful interceptions reinforced one fact, that India has changed. Its patience has limits, and its response is firm. We're taking you back to the developing situation at the border. Pakistani drones are being reported in the skies over northern and western India yet again for the second time in 2 days. What we saw yesterday is playing out all over again. There's a total blackout in parts of Jammu. These are the latest pictures that we have for you. The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister has confirmed explosions in the region, but he said it was most likely artillery firing. Reports say drones have been spotted over Samba, Kathua and Nagrota in Jammu. We're getting multiple videos from these regions. You can hear air raid sirens and explosions in the background. Beyond Jammu, drones have been reported in Punjab's Firozpur and Pathankot, as well as Rajasthan's Jaisalmer. And this is exactly what happened last night as well. Just before 9 p.m., reports came in about Pakistani drones over Jammu. We learnt later that Pakistan had fired more than 400 drones across the western frontier, most of which were neutralized by India. Like yesterday, we are hearing that Indian air defenses have been activated again. This is a developing situation. We'll keep track of it for you. Multiple places in India along the western border, seeing a repeat of what we saw yesterday. Projectiles coming from the Pakistani side being neutralized by the Indian air defenses. This conflict has many battlefields: the ground, the air, and the airwaves. It is being fought not just with missiles and drones, but also in newsrooms, on prime time, in interviews streamed across the globe. This is a battle of narratives, a test of who can tell their story better and convince the world. And here too, India is winning decisively. You've got Indian diplomats. They're calm and collected, their responses are measured, every rebuttal is backed with facts. On the other side are Pakistani ministers. They think it's fun to wing it on air. And you've got to hand it to Islamabad. For a country that loves war metaphors, they're shockingly bad at the war of words. Look at some recent interviews. We'll start with the Indian ones. Indian ambassador to the US, Vinay Quatra, went on CNN, the American channel. He was our foreign secretary before this. Now he's India's ambassador to the US, so a seasoned diplomat on an important mission. Ambassador Quatra was asked if this is a religious war, a war between Indian Hindus and Pakistani Muslims. It's an absurd question to ask. But Ambassador Quatra made his point loud and clear. He said India is not at war with Pakistan. India is at war with terrorists. The terrorists who killed 26 people in Kashmir. The anchor also called it Indian-administered Kashmir, but Ambassador Quatra did not let it slide. He reiterated India's position, the whole of Jammu and Kashmir is ours. The only problem is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or POK. It was an interview that packed a punch. But the knockout came from across the Atlantic. From India's High Commissioner to the UK, his name is Vikram Doraiswamy. He went on Sky News and he was armed not just with talking points but also concrete proof. He went on British television and showed this picture featuring Hafiz Abdul Rauf, a sanctioned terrorist at a funeral. Standing beside him are officials of the Pakistan Army. The picture tells you everything you need to know. Pakistan is not just supporting terrorists, Pakistan is standing shoulder to shoulder with them. You may think, why are Indian diplomats going on foreign channels to make their point? Why are they facing Western grilling? Well, the logic is quite simple. This narrative war is all about perception. If you cannot tell and defend your story, someone else will twist it and write it for you. So that's what India's diplomats are doing. They are defending India's story. Now let's look at the other side of the border, which is quite chaotic, I must tell you. Pakistan has no dearth of talking heads. In fact, they had quite the army to send to foreign channels, like Defence Minister Khwaja Asif, Information Minister Ataullah Tarar and former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto. Instead of defending, they are scoring own goals. They don't offer facts. They come with feelings and Freudian slips. Take Defence Minister Khwaja Asif. He went on Sky News. He was asked if Pakistan backs terror groups, and this is what he had to say.
You do admit, sir, that Pakistan has had a long history of backing and supporting and training and funding these terrorist organizations.
Well, we have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades, and West, including Britain.
It was quite the moment of honesty, I must say, but Khwaja Asif was not the only one sipping the truth serum. Enter Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, the former foreign minister of Pakistan. He too popped up on Sky News trying to do damage control. Instead, he let the truth slip out. He was asked about Pakistan's terror links and he ended up saying this.
I don't think that it's a secret that Pakistan has a past as far as extremist groups are concerned. And as a result of this, we have suffered. Pakistan has suffered.
Credit where it's due. This is more honesty than we're used to hearing from Islamabad. Bilawal Bhutto is right, of course. Pakistan does have a terror-linked past. But he skipped a tiny detail. Pakistan also has a terror-linked present. And if things keep going this way, a terror-linked future too. So should Pakistan's ministers get some media training? Well, we can offer some tips. Before setting your ministers loose on BBC and CNN, run a few mock interviews. Or better still, just watch India's diplomats for some time. Take notes. And if that's too much work, here's an easier option. Stick to state TV, read from a script, blame a foreign hand and hope that the world is not watching. They say truth is the first casualty of war. Yesterday, it died 1 million deaths. If you were watching television or scrolling through social media, you would think this was an all-out war. You see, Pakistan is not just peddling fake narratives, it is also peddling fake news, and we have already been debunking them for the last few days. Tonight, we've come with some more examples, starting with AI-generated videos like this one. It talks about India shooting down 2 Pakistani jets. This video is fake. The second is an old war footage passed off as new. Like this image, retweeted many times as India's attack on the Karachi port. Turns out it was a visual from Gaza. Then there's this video of a Pakistani attack on Jammu. The video was from Dhaka. So again, fake, of course. There are also fake headlines, like this one. A Chinese daily shared an old image claiming 3 Indian jets crashed. The image was fake. It was from 2019. A Pakistani handle claimed that a Sukhoi Su-30 MKI was shot down. The Indian pilot was captured. Again, this was fake news. This picture was from 2014. Here's another one. It says that ATMs in India will be closed for 2 to 3 days. Fake news. It was spread to create panic, to send people rushing to the banks. And that's the purpose of this, really. But it wasn't just social media that was the problem. Mainstream media also seemed to have taken the bait this time. And now we know that reporting during a conflict like this one is tough. The viewers want to know what's going on, and you want to put out information fast. It can be tough in the fog of war. So it's important to prioritize accuracy over speed. Unfortunately, some channels faltered and ran headlines like these. Indian Navy strikes the Karachi port, fake news. Indian Army takes over Lahore, again fake. Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir toppled in a coup. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif captured and locked in a basement. Imran Khan to be released within hours. Pakistani pilot captured after India downs an F-16 fighter jet. All of this was fake news. Yet it ran on mainstream media. The clips were forwarded on WhatsApp. They were retweeted hundreds of times. It was repeated so much that it almost seemed like reality. Why did this happen? Because the hunger to be first beat the responsibility of verifying news. It's a strange thing, really, and the paradox of the times we live in. We have more access to information than ever before, yet we are more vulnerable to being misled. And a war makes that even worse. In moments of national anxiety and crisis, people aren't just looking for news, they're looking for credibility, they're looking for clarity, something to hold on to during a crisis. And the answer to that can never be fake news. We know you want updates, but accuracy is more important than speed. At Firstpost, we are choosing to hold on to that. We are choosing to hold on to accuracy. That means we won't always be first. You may not get your breaking alert from us, but what you will get is what we owe you. And that is the truth. Verified, cross-checked and cross-checked. We rely on sources and verified ones. After all, that's what separates a journalist from a loudspeaker. But sometimes even we miss a beat, and when we do, we will tell you. Yesterday, we ran visuals from a registered news agency. This visual turned out to be fake, so we are taking responsibility. And from now on, we will cite the source of every image, every picture, every video that you see on Firstpost will have a source mentioned. That is our commitment to you. We will wait, we will verify, we will ask again. Only then will we tell you. No noise, no panic, just the facts. Because right now, that's what the country needs most. As missiles fly across the border, Pakistan has opened another front, not with weapons, but with a plea. They want more cash. Today, the IMF is holding a crucial meeting. That's the International Monetary Fund. It is Pakistan's last financial lifeline. The IMF will decide Pakistan's financial future. It will assess their current progress and take a call on giving them more money. The stakes are very high. It's a make or break moment for Pakistan's economy. So hours before the IMF meeting, Islamabad put out a not so subtle appeal on X. The post came from Pakistan's Economic Affairs Division. It openly asked for more loans. It cited the current conflict with India. It referred to the recent stock market crash, and it urged the world to help de-escalate. Now, let me be clear. This is not a fake account. This was an official government handle of Pakistan openly begging for money in the middle of a military standoff with India. Of course, the internet reacted instantly. India's very own PIB, Press Information Bureau, joined in with a sharp dig. Soon the backlash grew and Pakistan scrambled for cover. A clarification was issued. Pakistan claimed that this account was hacked and the post was not an official statement. But the damage was done. Now the spotlight shifts to the IMF. Will they grant Pakistan the next tranche of loans? Around $2 billion are on the table, and this is in two parts. One half is $1 billion tranche. This is out of the $7 billion bailout package that has been promised to Pakistan. The second half is a new loan, a loan worth $1.3 billion. Pakistan is asking for more funds under the IMF's Climate Resilience Program. Climate Resilience Loan Program. They want $1.3 billion. So today's meeting can unlock upwards of $2 billion for Pakistan. This money is critical for them. Without it, they will plunge deeper into crisis. The country is already sinking under debt. Their external liabilities now exceed $130 billion. Foreign reserves are just about $15 billion, which is barely enough to pay for 3 months of imports. And there are significant payments due. This year, Pakistan has to pay its lenders $22 billion. Nearly $13 billion of that is owed to bilateral partners, and one of them is, of course, China. It is Islamabad's single largest creditor, also its biggest weapons supplier. Of course, India is watching the IMF meeting closely. New Delhi will have representation there, and they will want the IMF to block the money. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri issued a statement today. He called on the IMF to look hard at the facts. He pointed to Pakistan's long history and bailout packages. And India has a strong case here. Pakistan has received 24 IMF bailouts since 1958. That is the highest number for any country in the world ever, 24 bailouts. So India is raising some very tough questions. It wants the IMF to ask how that money has been used.
जहाँ तक IMF bailout का सवाल है, आपको ज्ञान होगा कि IMF की आज मीटिंग हो रही है. हम वहाँ पे अपना पक्ष रखेंगे और जो हमारा मत है इन चीज़ों को लेके वहाँ पे साझा करेंगे दूसरे मेंबर्स के साथ. ये बोर्ड पे निर्भर है कि वहाँ पे क्या निर्णय होता है.
In the backdrop of the Pahalgam terror attack and Pakistan's provocation since, India's message is clear. Agencies like the IMF should stop giving aid to Pakistan blindly. Clearly, that money is funding terrorist groups. India has impressed the same upon its partners. Yesterday, there was a surprise visitor in New Delhi. Saudi Arabia's junior foreign minister, his name is Abdul Al-Jubair. He met with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Jaishankar discussed the issue of cross-border terrorism with him, and today Al-Jubair is in Islamabad, presumably to share that same message, to try to get Pakistan to behave itself. As for the Americans, they aren't too keen to interfere right now. That is what Vice President J.D. Vance has said.
What we can do is try to encourage these folks to de-escalate a little bit, but we're not going to get involved in the middle of war. That's fundamentally none of our business and has nothing to do with America's ability to control it.
America is keeping its hands off this conflict. That's the message from J.D. Vance, their vice president. But behind the scenes, their diplomats have been busy. America's acting ambassador in Islamabad called on Pakistan's interior minister today. We'll have to wait for the outcome and for the IMF's decision. India says it will present its case firmly. Pakistan will try to spin the narrative. It says the IMF deal is about ensuring stability. But the thing is, stability cannot come with missiles in the sky and a begging bowl in hand. Let's once again check in on the situation at the border. Pakistani drones are being reported in the skies over northern and western India for the second straight night today. There's a total blackout in sites near the border. These are the latest images that we have. The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister has confirmed explosions in Jammu. He said it was most likely artillery firing. Reports say drones have been spotted over Rajouri, Samba, Kathua, Nagrota in Jammu. You're getting multiple videos from these regions. You can hear air raid sirens and explosions in the background. Take a look at this clip from Samba. Beyond Jammu, drones have been reported in Punjab's Firozpur and Pathankot, as well as Rajasthan's Jaisalmer and Pokhran. This is exactly what happened late last night as well. We're hearing that Indian air defenses are engaging the targets again. This is almost a copy-paste from last night's attack. Vantage continues after a short break.
We're just getting some breaking news before we close out the show. There's been a massive blackout followed with siren sounds that have been activated in Udhampur, a complete blackout in Udhampur. Also, multiple ceasefire violations happening across different sectors on either side of the line of control. So not yet quite the repeat of what we saw yesterday, but still heavy artillery firing happening on across the LOC. Akash has more details on this. Akash, so is it restricted to CFV violations and artillery shells right now? Are we seeing any kind of drone activity yet? Is there any possibility of a repeat of what happened yesterday, or it's following a familiar pattern?
I'm hearing the sirens. In fact, here in Jammu, I'm not allowed to go outside because of the light and some sort of restrictions that are in place. Zaka, yes, we are learning about one drone attack here in Jammu. In fact, defense sources are telling us, and we have heard multiple firing sounds as well. You rightly pointed out on line of control, we are having ceasefire violations in different sectors, not only in Jammu but in Kashmir as well. In Uri and Kupwara, we have been reporting since evening. And at this point in time, in Poonch and in Samba, we are learning about this ceasefire violation from Pakistan, where they are in fact firing the artillery. Here in Jammu, I have heard multiple sounds. I was trying to count 11 at least. I have heard, and I am learning. In fact, defense sources are telling me that it was drone once again, for a drone attack once again. We'll wait for the police to confirm it as well. But I am learning that yesterday it was the airport, and once again it is in the close vicinity, possibly the airport only. And agencies are in fact using the AD systems and AD guns to thwart these attempts. Once again, it is Pakistan trying to attack the infrastructure, and not only in Jammu. We have been learning about these sort of activities in different areas. Tejinder is reporting in fact about Pathankot and Samba as well. We have a colleague Anshul and Anvit in different areas as well. They have been reporting about blackout and sirens. But as far as Jammu is concerned, Zaka, so it is very important. It is the international border though, but it's a very part of the sort of attack that was carried out. In fact, yesterday it got started with Jammu only, and at around 8 p.m. This evening also, we heard sirens, and soon after that a blackout was there. Yes, it's a precautionary measure, Zaka, but it has been categorically mentioned by the police and the civil authorities that people cannot stay outdoor, and in fact that they need to go inside whenever they are hearing these sort of sounds, and in fact whenever there is blackout they need to go indoors.
Okay, Akash, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. So yes, ceasefire violations are happening in Samba, in Uri, in Tangdar, all across the line of control. We're just getting some breaking news before we close out the show. There's been a massive blackout followed with siren sounds that have been activated in Udhampur, a complete blackout in Udhampur. Also, multiple ceasefire violations happening across different sectors on either side of the line of control. So not yet quite the repeat of what we saw yesterday, but still heavy artillery firing happening on across the LOC. Akash has more details on this. Akash, so is it restricted to CFV violations and artillery shells right now? Are we seeing any kind of drone activity yet? Is there any possibility of a repeat of what happened yesterday, or it's following a familiar pattern?
I'm hearing the sirens. In fact, here in Jammu, I'm not allowed to go outside because of the light and some sort of restrictions that are in place. Zaka, yes, we are learning about one drone attack here in Jammu. In fact, defense sources are telling us, and we have heard multiple firing sounds as well. You rightly pointed out on line of control, we are having ceasefire.
This ongoing conflict is a reflection of India's new approach, a new and bold approach. It's very different from the past. Let's go back to 2008. Pakistani terrorists attacked the financial heart of India. I'm talking about 26/11. They targeted iconic landmarks in Mumbai. 26/11/2008. Terrorists from Pakistan killed more than 160 people. It was a deadly and daring attack. It left India grieving and angry. Back then, the world expected India to hit back, to use some sort of military action against Pakistan, but none came. New Delhi chose legal and diplomatic means. The United Nations Security Council condemned the attack. They also put some of the plotters on their sanctions list. 2008. Justice is yet to be